Welcome to this video where I'm going to show you the conscious competence learning model. This is about how we learn a new skill in our lives and what it means to go from a newbie, not having an idea, to actually being and entering the stage of mastery. But the stage of mastery usually starts we have no idea of what we don't know, right? So in the beginning, we are totally unconscious of our own incompetence. One example of that is, for instance, if you don't have a driver license, if you never been had a certification of what it means to drive a car, you actually don't know what it means because you haven't learned the skill of driving a car. So you're very unconscious about the incompetence you have. But if you do have a driving license, and if you ever been driving a car, having people in the car who don't have a driver license, they usually have a lot of advices, right, to you. Suggestions of your driving and how you should drive. And usually all these suggestions, they comes from their unconscious incompetence. In the same way, a lot of people who don't understand the skill you have may be very good in giving advice, but actually they have no clue of the advice they're giving because they are unconscious that they don't have the competence yet. But then we reach a field where this person actually do want to know and want to learn, and they become conscious about their incompetence. And that happens, that is the kind of enrollment phase, right? So when the person who is unconscious become conscious, they are actively by themselves seeking for the information that is available to them. They might enroll into taking a course. In the case of being having a driver license, you sign up in the driver school in order to actually get your license, your driving license. So you become very conscious about your incompetence you have, and that will further accelerate when you have taken your first class with a teacher and realize that, oh my gosh, it was actually really difficult to drive, and it was difficult to do a parking, and you realize that you have a lot of skills you need to know in order to learn how to drive a car. So now you're conscious of your incompetence. And the same happens when you enter a new subject or field in order to try to learn. Is that from the beginning it seems like, yeah, it's easy, but when you enter the field, you just it becomes so obvious to you how much there is to learn, and you're very, very conscious that you don't have the full competence, and you realize that other people do are showing some mastery in this level, and usually it's your teachers, right? The interesting thing here is also, when we understand conscious incompetence, is this is a stage where you're actually able to learn, and that willingness to learn, because now you're curious to learn, you want to learn, and you're driven to learn because you see there is something you can reach from this learning. That takes you to the next steps of the ladder. So you become conscious about your competence. Now, from now on, you actually know you have achieved some skills. When it comes to going back to the driver school example, that means you're now ready to write your theory. You're now ready to have that test driving where you are examined by an examiner who will evaluate your skills if you do have the conscious competence that is required for handing over the driver license to you. So you will have it in your pocket as an evidence of your mastery. In schools, in higher education, this is an example also how we see it as a graduation examination. The examination becomes the ultimate ultimate feedback where you can show your conscious competence. You can show the teachers that you have reached the competence necessary for this specific skill and knowledge. And then what happens after a time when you start use this skill and you've been using it so much, so now you had the driver license for a year, you don't even think about how you're driving. In the same way as you have your education background, you have been now using everything you learned in such a way so you are totally unconscious that you're actually using it, because it became an everyday reality for you and you're now unconscious of the competence you got. And here again, when you're in the mastery, it can actually be difficult to be open to learning again in the same area, because in some way you may feel you have reached mastery. However, there is some people, I do think, that have the psychological need of development. I think their life is all about actually repeating this cycle. When they learn something, they are looking for where they can go again, into finding those new aha moments in life and learning a new skill, learning new, getting new understanding, getting new perceptions of something. And this becomes like their long life learning for people with a psychological need of development, to just repeat this cycle over and over again. So this might say something about your willingness to be open and learn. And if it feels challenging to you, that means you're still maybe in this mastery level or in this first level of unconscious incompetence. At the same point you reach the second step here of being conscious of what you don't know, you are in the phase of learning. But that means also a phase of many times feeling overwhelmed, feeling confused, feeling checked out, feeling frustration. And that happens just because you're in the state of learning. And it's good things to know when you enter a new education and are just opening up for the step of a new level of mastery in your life.